What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for being here, as always. I want to get right into it with some news regarding Taylor Tatum, the newly acquired running back from Oklahoma that just recently signed here with the Michigan Wolverines. Former number one running back out of his class, ranked higher than even Jordan Marshall out of that cycle. He chose Michigan a few days ago, about a week ago, maybe. And this was also before Bryson Cudsdall decided to come back. Retaining Cudsdall, I actually think is a quite underrated move. I became a big fan of him as the season went on. He's got a lot of moxie, a lot of natural running ability, and the fact that we got him as a walk on seems criminal to me. He'd be the best running back on most Big Ten schools, in my opinion. So I think retaining Cudsdall was a great move. But I think with that came Michigan needing to make a tough decision on Taylor about his role on the team. Yes, he was the number one back in his cycle, and yes, he's a great athlete. But I think that him not playing this most recent season has given this coaching staff the idea that maybe they can experiment with him more. Because as Tony Garcia from the Detroit Free Press noted on Twitter, Michigan's going to be using Taylor as a safety, at least to start. And that's a big contrast. That's a big difference, to go from running back to safety. These are two very different positions, very different roles. He did not play safety in high school, at least based on 247 Sports. So they are banking on his raw athleticism as a means to fill a depth void on the defensive backfield. With some of the additions we got in the portal, with like Chris Bracey, we got some guys coming back, Rod Moore. I don't know how necessary it would be. I mean, there's other articles that you can look up that are specifying that safety might not even be his best defensive position. If you were to switch him on the defensive side of the ball, it might behoove them to put more weight on him and play him at linebacker or something like that. I don't know. I kind of went into it thinking that he was just going to be the RB2 and we'd bring in Savion Hyder and that would be it. But Bryson Cudsdall coming back in a good way, right, throws a bit of a wrench in that plan in somewhat. So I think it's a really interesting move. I'm curious because Kyle Whittingham has experience in this kind of thing before. At Utah, he had Sione Vaki, who was a running back and a safety, the exact same profile as Taylor Tatum. So, and Sione was very good at both positions. When he was, I don't remember exactly where he's playing right now in the NFL, but when he was coming out, a lot of NFL analysts were saying that you could play him on both sides of the ball, or you could pick your poison. If you need a safety, you can play him at safety. If you need a running back, you can play him at running back. So I think that Kyle has a natural eye for multi-positional versatility on both sides of the ball. So I'm going to choose to trust him, and I'm not going to pretend like I know more about football than him because I don't. So if he says that he thinks Taylor can play safety, then I guess Taylor probably can play safety if they coach him up properly because he's still young. He's got tons of eligibility left. So I think it's a really interesting move. And we look at that trend at Michigan. It's happened a couple of times. Hassan Haskins and Kalel Mullings both went to Michigan as linebackers and quickly became staples in their offense, legends to some degree. Nobody's ever going to forget Hassan Haskins' 5 touchdowns against Ohio State. Nobody's going to forget Kalel Mullings getting thrust into an RB1 position in a tumultuous time and helping beat Ohio State and eventually getting to 1,000 yards. And so I'm cautiously optimistic for the move to put Taylor on the defensive side of the ball. But I think it does make sense to some degree, at least from a depth perspective, right? Because we have good running backs. We have Jordan Marshall. We have Bryson Cudsdall. That's your 1-2 punch right there. And we got, you know, we have an elite running back coming in Savion Hyder. Plus, we still have guys like Micah Kaapanya on the roster as well, who I think is a good athlete. I mean, he hasn't really gotten a ton of playing time yet, but when you're a running back at Michigan, being fourth in the depth chart doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad running back. It just means there's other dogs on the roster you got to compete with. So, good problem to have, maybe. I thought it was very interesting news. It was not news that I was expecting to hear, but I'm certainly not complaining. I'm curious to see how they're going to use him, because they're also talking about how they can sprinkle him into packages as well. They're going to use him like Sione Vaki, possibly. Let him play both. Let him utilize that athleticism. He was a multi-sport athlete in both high school and at Oklahoma. Played baseball at Oklahoma as well, I believe, and I'm pretty sure he's playing baseball at Michigan also. So the kid's a great athlete. He's an elite athlete. So 5'10" at 205 pounds right now or so, something like that. He's got room to grow, expand his, athletic horizons, if you will. So we'll see how that works out. It's an interesting move. I'm looking forward to it, and seeing where this roster continues to go. But yeah, that's the news on Taylor Tatum as of today, and that's kind of my 2 cents on that. So tell me what you guys think in the comments. And as always, if you like the content, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's free and I appreciate it very much. So go Blue. Have a good one.